Hello gamers, and welcome back to another short episode, maybe short, I don't know, of Solospelunking. So this one will not be a gameplay video. It will be one of these, like I call them, Solospelunking table talk videos, where I just ramble on about general solo role-playing themes and topics. And actually this is a requested video because a long time friend of the channel and commenter and also someone who has given me some advice on some of my products asked in the last video where I did the star chart if I could make a video about how I set up my solo RPG journals, because he caught a glimpse of some drawings I did in there, and so he was curious, and I figured, well, of course I can do another video about solo RPG journals and about how I set up my journals, and maybe once again give you a little insight into my journaling techniques, mostly in my private games, because there is actually a difference between playing on camera or playing for myself. At least for me it is. Usually playing on camera is, of course, for me more demanding because I have to talk constantly. And even though I mostly play for my own enjoyment, subconsciously in the back of my head, of course, there's still this notion, this thought about, well, but there's also an audience watching, even though if it's a small one. So you still think about, how does this resonate maybe with the audience? Did they like the episode or not? And you get out the props like the minis and the maps to make it visually more appealing. So when I play my private games, I usually play them, I don't know, if I got an hour in between appointments, like in between family matters, or in the evening when everybody already went to bed and I still got an hour. So of course there I do not get all this stuff out. Usually it is just me with my journal with a couple of dice, and I mostly play theater of mind, and so there is a difference. And so if you, or at least if I play solo for myself, the journal is an important part of solo gaming, because for me this is actually where the gaming happens. And I have talked about this before. At least I need something to focus my thoughts. You could call it like a spell focus. And if I'm playing on camera, the actual act of talking to you, the audience, of playing out the scenes for the audience, of really playing out the dialogue, this is my focus. So when I play on camera, I actually journal a lot less, almost nothing. The only thing basically I do journal or record, it's not really journaling, I record it in my journal, are maybe names and locations from NPCs to get some sort of permanency and world building going. And of course I make some recap notes at the end of a session so that I know where we will pick up the session. But usually I also always watch the last, I don't know, 5 to 8 minutes of the last video to get back into the scene, into the happenings before I start the next video. So this is, so journaling while playing on camera is completely different, at least for me, and way I play solo. So what I'm going to show you now is I will talk a little bit about my journals and show you maybe some things that I do and some entries that I make. And yeah, so because I think you can never talk enough about journaling, because also it's a controversial topic. So what do I have here? Basically, I got like 3 stacks or types of journals. So what I got here are my standard, I would call them like upper quality journals that I mostly use. And here it's also mostly like the same. So before I go into what is actually in these journals, I will talk a little bit about these journals themselves, and I already did this, but still. So these are journals that come in packs of 2 different colors. I get them from Amazon, and they're like 15 euros for a pack of 2. So it's 7.50 for one journal, and I think that is a good value for money, for the quality that you get. So they feature a hardcover cover, a pen loop, which I rarely use, a rubber band to close it. They also feature not 1 but 2 different colored ribbons to mark different pages if you feel the need to. And they also come with a little pouch in the back where you could store like maybe character sheets or pictures that you printed out. And they are numbered. They have numbered pages. So they have, let me see, I think 100, yes, 192. 192 numbered pages. It is a dotted paper, they feature a dot grid, and the thickness of the paper is 200 grams. And yeah, and these are basically the journals that I use for most of my games. And I use one journal for a game in progress. So there are more than one games in here, because if I die, I will of course start a new game in the same journal, but never more than one ongoing game in one journal. So when I'm playing a game, I pick a journal and I start this game in this journal. And if I play a different game, I will not use this journal for the other game as well and alternate. I will use a different journal for the other game. So I usually use one, or I usually have only one active game per journal. So this is like the standard option. So these are the ones that I usually get. So this is an expensive one, but I'm not that satisfied with it. It is a Leuchtturm, and usually those are like 20 bucks a piece. I got this one on sale though. The paper is nice. It is a nice paper. It is lined, also numbered. It's got 251 pages. The paper is a little bit thinner. And yeah, it is, I mean, it is a nice journal, but the increase in price, in my opinion, compared to these journals, is in no relation to the increase in quality that you get, if that makes sense. So I will probably not go with this brand again, not because I don't like it, but because I do have a high amount of journals, and so I rather pay 7.50 than 20 a piece. But I do have to admit that the paper actually has a nice quality. First I thought it's a little bit thin and there's a little bleed through, but actually in practice it's not that bad, and it feels very, very nice to write on these journals. So these are basically my standard upper quality, higher priced journal options that I have. Now on this side, we have the cheap but still decent dollar store discounter type journals. So these are journals that are like $3 a piece. They are from so in Germany it's called Teddy. It's like a dollar store discounter thing you will probably have in whatever country you live in, have similar stores. So they usually feature a large section of office supplies, where you can also get notepads and in this case also journals. And they're like $3 a piece, but for that amount of money you also can't complain. So I got 2 of them here. I use these so these are basically private games only. So I think I've never featured these on the channel, and they are like 80 grams paper and no numbered pages, but still a dotted grid. Features 1 ribbon and no pen loop and no rubber band and also no pockets. But still, for $3 a pop, you can't really complain. So this is just when I play at the kitchen table, my private games, they're usually played in these low price options. So this is brand new. I haven't started a game in here yet. The funny thing is, this features a table of content. However, the pages are not numbered. So you would have to number the pages yourself if you want to fill this out. So I already created a character. So I'm planning on playing a Starships and Blasters game in here. But you can see it is still blank. It is a brand new journal. Also dotted grid. 80 grams paper, but feels nice. And these ones are like $3. And I see I already did something here. I already made, usually for my sci-fi games, I'm using my point crawl travel system that I did this video on. I haven't added any hazards here yet, but as you see, this is still in progress, so there hasn't been a game in this journal yet. But so this is where my point crawl map will be, and I usually put these either at the very end or at the very beginning, so that I can use them for all the games I play in between, and I can just flip to the front or back page to determine starting and target destination, and then plan my route if I'm using this point crawl system. So these are the low price options, but they're still all right. I mean, you could totally use them. And now what we have in the middle is sort of like the exotic option. This is a Rocketbook Fusion. What this is a reusable notebook. It comes with a Pilot friction pen. You're supposed to use only friction pens in those Rocketbooks, but also not the eraser. It comes with a little microfiber cloth that you're supposed to get wet, and then you can wipe this notebook clean. And the thing about these Rocketbooks, the thing is that every page, I don't know if you can see them, they feature icons here, and there's an app for it on your phone where you can link every icon to a different type of usually cloud storage. Like, for example, your Google Drive folder. So let's say like Diamond is Google Drive. So then you write your notes. It comes with lined and dotted. This is why it's the Rocketbook Fusion. It features both, and also calendar and other stuff. And if you mark one of these icons, the app also features a scanning function, and then you can scan the page and they are immediately uploaded in their separate folder in your cloud storage, and then you could basically reuse this notebook. I've used this a couple of times, but I gotta be honest with you, it is not as unique as I think it would be, or not as practical, because like I said, I like to handle real paper on the table, and I need to be able to flip back to see what happened. So yeah, I got this as a spur of a moment decision, but I have to admit it has not seen much use, but I will still of course keep it and maybe use it for my board game type games, where it's not that important to keep a detailed record of an entire storyline, because it's more like the board gamey thing. So these are basically my journal options. And now to answer the question of the viewer, let me get a good example. How do I set up my journal? So I think he was referring to this one. So what do I have in the front? So here, usually I use the front to put in Oracle tables. So I got different Oracle tables here. So this is for the Freeform Universal RPG. Then I got here the one-page Mythic Game Master Emulator Fate chart. I just photocopied this and cut it out and glued it in here. And here I got some, this is my minimalist game, Good Blaster at Your Side, that you can get on itch.io. And yeah, when I did the Better Fallcrest, I guess I used one of my minimalist systems, and I linked to my itch.io page. So this is for the Space Opera Star Wars variant. So these are the difficulties. This is for a D6 based system, the difficulties for that you need to roll on a D6 to get a success. So usually the front pages are taken up, or the cover pages, by tables and Oracle tables. So here on the other side, I have from the one-page Mythic, I glued the Discover Meaning action description table in there also, to quickly generate stuff. And this is the map he was referring to, and this is nothing else than one of these again, generic point crawl maps, but here I basically, A stands for asteroids, P for pirates, and so this is nothing else as if I would write it down directly on the route. I just thought it looked fancy by marking areas that are pirate infested or plagued by asteroids. So here it's basically the same thing. This is an asteroid belt, pirates, and these are the travel times in hours, and these are just the star systems. Yeah, you can see my usual like hub mechanic. So basically, if you want to reach these systems, you got to go through this system, and this system connects to the lower systems. So this is what I have in here. Yeah, and then I just basically started the game. And now some journaling techniques. I'm looking for my very first journal that I used on this channel with my very first series featuring Galen Ryder, A Smuggler's Tale, and I think this was this journal. Yeah, because here I got the same thing. So here in the front I got my one-page Mythic Fate chart, the action and description table from Mythic, cut it in half, put it on one side. On the other side I had a little pocket mod tables that I did for Star Wars. This was all before I had my solo RPG framework, which I would use now. So just some simple tables, planet world tags. So see, this is where this that in my solo RPG framework I'm using the system of world tags. So this is basically where it started at all. So I used basically the same tags almost already in this campaign or playing this game or in my private games. Those world tags, dominant planetary terrains, jobs and missions, the usual stuff: infiltration, steal, transport, smuggle, locate, capture, kill, bring back rare items, scout out a location, base camp, retrieve an item, escort a convoy. So basically a little mission generator, and here a very simple NPC generator that features class, race, and power level relative to the PC, the attitude, and a little table for a motivation. So this is the setup here. In this campaign or in this journal, there's no point crawl star chart because back then I used a separate chart. I had this on a separate piece of paper. So here then again we have oracle tables. If I'm using something else as than the Mythic chart, so standard D6 or D20 oracle tables. And here is my Galen Rider adventure, and here I did something that I don't know, I stopped doing. I don't know why, because it's actually pretty neat. I color coded stuff. So I had basically red for hostile or negative events, yellow basically for neutral things, and green for beneficial or friendly characters, NPCs, locations. And what I did here, I color coded names, I color coded NPCs, and locations also. Missions. In general, all kinds of things. So here so this is when you flip through it quickly, it catches your attention. So here, approached by female corporate executive, it's a female Gotel, and she offers to establish contact with the Alliance. So this is like the key information. And then sometimes, let's see if I did it in here. So this is color coded. So here you can see that I already used this abstract system, but I didn't have the map in here, because here you can see the same thing go from 6 to 7 on an abstract chart. Let's see. So here he died, sadly. No, there's no. Usually what I sometimes do if the game goes on longer, and I refer to events that happened a couple of sessions ago, I put the page number of the journal. This is why I like number journals in parentheses. So I would just say, let's say I would encounter the female Gotel again. Then I would reference the very first encounter by putting in parentheses from page 3, basically, so that I know, okay, this is where I met this character. So then I can easily go back and look what happened on page 3 and refresh my memory regarding this character. Yeah, so this is what I usually put in the front of my journals or the back. Usually the front and back covers. Yeah, I color code, and what I do now, because I don't color code, maybe I'm too lazy, maybe I don't have the colored pencils ready, but in my current Keldor Sector game, which is this journal, so let's take a look at this journal. So here in the front, we also have some simple oracle tables. And these were, so see, this game I discontinued. That was the Cult of Gorgamesh Dungeons and Dragons adventure that I did in the very beginning, where I used the solo rules for urban adventures from Scarlet Heroes for this Dungeons and Dragons 5e game. And so that was the Cult of Gorgamesh. So here every scene had its little section. Then new game, and that was Telrak Kendral, my Star Wars Plus Dragonbane Nar Shaddaa Manhunt adventure, which also used Scarlet Heroes. So here you can see the same structure with the different scene types, the bookkeeping regarding the victory points. So here this adventure ended. Then I left some blank pages, and this is where my Keldor Sector adventure that I'm currently playing started. And so what I still do, I underline names, but you can see instead of color coding, I just put an X next to things so that it immediately catches my attention. Locations, so that was the Cantina Watering Hole, Calcareous Prime. Let's see, the Shadow Rats, which was the gang that stole the data core. My Kubat's Contact, the Idiot's Array Casino. So wherever there's an X, and because this immediately, of course, color-coded would immediately catch your attention as well, but this is just quicker. And so like you could also do this in the aftermath, go through your journal and just mark important things with an X so that you quickly can refresh your memory. Okay, so yeah, this is my current game, but this is all basically just summarizing the sessions. So this is not comparable to when I play my private games. So here, this is where we are at the moment. These are my pictures that I have for this game. I keep it all in here, and this is why I also like this rubber band, because you can see the more stuff you put in here, it's not that easy to close these journals, but thanks to the rubber band, it's no problem. All right, so now for the last part of this video, I want to give you another glimpse into one of my private games that is still ongoing, but I haven't played for a while. Also a Star Wars game. Here I tried something else. What I did here is, you can see, I only wrote on one side, and I generated some pictures fitting the scenes, and I glued them on here. But this was just like, I tried this, but I discontinued it because it's just too much of a hassle. But this is how I usually play, how I journaled. So I'm using bullet points, short sentences, and I'm just going to read to you. So here I rescued a bounty huntress, and this is the starport where I landed. This is my character losing his money in a casino, and yeah, and then here I stopped doing the pictures, and then I started using both sides again, but I used this then as scrap paper to record combats, and this is also something I would like to show you. But first, so that you get an idea of the amount of journaling I actually do, and what I mean with it, I needed to focus my thoughts. I will just read to you what I recorded here. I arrive without further incident in the Saltar system. And then what I do here in my private games, as you can see this, whenever I fly into a new system, I put the system name in the middle of the page and I double underline it so that it is easy for me when I flip through the journal to get an idea of the planets I've been to. And here this refers to my solo RPG framework. I put the security level in parentheses, and usually I also start, you can see this here, with describing the system a little bit. So I arrive without further incident in the Celtar system. Then comes middle of the page, Celtar, underlined, medium security. Here I bother to even put the region in, the expansion region. This refers to the Star Wars galaxy. And then I just recorded Devastated by war, so that was the world tag. Features scorching deserts and rugged hills and rocky plateaus. This is determined by the framework. Then I went into a little bit detail. What was the cause of the devastation? Was it an interplanetary or local war? Devastation is the result of a local war between continents. One side was almost completely wiped out. Only one starport, standard class, and this refers also to the D6 era. So in the D6 system, you had basically landing fields, the simplest types. You had limited service starports, standard class starports, stellar class starports, and the highest class were the imperial class starports. So Mos Eisley, for example, I would either classify as a standard class or maybe even limited services starport. And of course, Coruscant would be an Imperial class starport, which are basically almost cities upon themselves. So this is only one starport, standard class, still operational in Telres City, which has about 800,000 inhabitants, the city. Then I continue. Encounter on approach. And see, I determined this with the solo RPG framework, but you will see I do not record dice rolls in here. There's no need. I just roll the dice and I just record the outcome in here. So I get an outcome, I form a little encounter out of it. I put 1-2 sentences in the journal to flesh out the scene, to focus my thoughts. So encounter on approach. An out of control bounty hunter ship is attacking a wanted tramp freighter. So this was generated with my generator. Now I had to translate this into an encounter. So I continue. My scanners pick up a dogfight. A tramp freighter is under attack by a long-range starfighter. The tramp freighter scores an impactful hit. The starfighter veers away out of control. So here I had to come up with why is this bounty hunter ship out of control, and I figured this could be the result of the dogfight. So maybe this wanted tramp freighter is not as helpless as the bounty hunter thought. So the starfighter veers away out of control. The tramp freighter makes a run for it and jumps into hyperspace. So that was the encounter. Now for me it would be, or it was interesting to see, does the bounty hunter manage to regain control? So I just write down regains control, question mark, 50-50. These are the odds. No. Then for me it was important to know, does he or she call for help? So 50-50, and I get an exceptional yes. Translating this into severe damage, critical, ship about to blow. And then I continue. Pick up the distress signal. Pilot needs to eject, needs pickup. Female pilot, female Zabrak. So I determined this, of course, with my usual method. Even or odds. Even are always female, odds are always male. And I just rolled the race. And I got the Star Wars races in here. So the most common races. So here I got a race table. Humans, Godels, Twi'leks, Zabrak. So this is how I came up with the Zabrak. And then, of course, because spacers help each other, I respond to the distress call and pick up the Zabrak shortly after the ship blew. She thanks me. I want to know what this was all about. Just business, she replies. So here I don't act out dialogues in written form. I just summarize them, and sometimes I use little quotes to set the scene. So this just business for me just means she wasn't interested in talking. And I got a déjà vu here. I think I did a community post on this. I don't know. Well, anyway, so I see, well, I wouldn't mind making some business of my own, if you get my meaning. Meaning, of course, I want to get paid. So here I had to make a charisma check and I fail. Well, I thought it was Spacer's honor to help another fellow pilot in need. That was her response, showing me that she doesn't want to pay. So I'm a little pissed and I just nod. Don't touch anything and buckle up. I'm starting the descent. I sat down to Telra City and contact the recipient of the cargo to arrange for a pickup at a 7 a.m. local time. The female subrak thanks me and leaves. The buyer contacts me and says he will be there by 10. I used the time to freshen up and have breakfast and coffee. So I leave it at that, you see. So I'm not writing elaborate prose here. Basically, this is just the fixation of my imagination. I really like the word focus. So it helps me to stay concentrated if I'm not talking to an audience. So this is why I journal, and I talked about this before, and this is also the how. So I would call this rather minimalist, but it suits my purpose. And it is exactly the amount that it is fun and does not feel tedious, at least for me, and it gives me a good impression of the world around me. Yeah, and so this is basically how I play my private games. So let's here I see that while my ship is worked on, I head for a cantina and spent some time there. So here I went into a cantina and of course I used my framework. And here I heard a rumor and was challenged to a bar game. So the rumor, dangerous creature has ambushed a bounty hunter, military officer talking to mercenary on a different planet. So this is what I determined. This is basically OOC. And then back in the game, I overhear a conversation at a neighboring table, an imperial officer, and I can write this down because I recognize the uniform, talks to a tough-looking mercenary type. In a neighboring system, an imperial aligned bounty hunter was tracking a quarry. The hunter believed the quarry to be hiding in the wilderness. He was ambushed by a ferocious native predator and seriously injured. So because it's an imperial officer, I made it an imperial aligned bounty hunter. And yeah, it's just I can act on that or not. Maybe someone is interested in catching this predator. Maybe if I would be a bounty hunter, I would be interested in the quarry myself. So also these rumors are just opportunities for interaction. You don't have to act on them. You can if you want. They make the world feel more alive. So I just recorded here interesting. While I'm sitting there minding my own business, a patron walks up to me, a Twi'lek woman. She challenges me to a knife-throwing contest in the back room. I can never refuse an attractive Twi'lek, so I'm in. She wants the bet to be 3,000, however. Let's start with 1,000 first. She nods and is in. And then I had to make a DC 18 ranged attack, or we both got 3 throws, and then the number of hits counts. So, and I was using here the Stardock system, so that's why it features DC. So I got 2 hits, she got 1 hit, so I won 1,000 credits, and I usually record my current total also in the journal so that I don't have to erase all the time on my character sheet. She comments on my skill and wants to go again for 2,000 this time. Again I'm in. Me 1 hit, she 0 hits. Again I win. So again my total. She seems surprised and annoyed and we call it a day. Leave at 1600 hours. I head towards the landing field to check on the repairs. And then again an encounter happened. Yeah, so I'll leave it at that. So to sum up, yeah, I only journal the minimum amount that I need to stay focused in the game. I set up my journals usually with generic maps, star maps if I play sci-fi in the front or back, and with some useful oracle and random tables fitting the system that I am using. yeah, so that was my video on journaling and how I set up my journals and what different techniques I use for journaling. So maybe you got another little insight into my process, which might help your own solo gaming. So as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.